kick off this morning right with some motivation. We have the one and only Jenn Taylor, mom of 18, the naked podcaster. You've probably seen her before. Of course, Jenn, we did earlier in the year a kickoff to goal setting. So that's what we're going to be talking about this morning. How are you feeling this Monday?
I'm loving life this Monday.
I love that. I love that. So we're going to get right into it. There's a
Mhm.
lot, of course, if you missed part one and part two of this goal setting, kind of setting you up for the year for this journey to live your best life in 2021. Of course, a lot more than just goal setting, very in depth. Make sure you go and catch that on demand. But this morning, if you've been on this journey, Jenn's going to check in and kind of tell you a few points, maybe if you're into your goal setting and now that piece of paper has fallen off the fridge and you stopped going to the gym, right? We're a few weeks in and that motivation, that momentum kind of stops a little bit.
That happens and it's so common. So I have 8 things that I'm going to talk to you about, kind of 8 steps that will help keep the motivation. And number 1 is that you have to have a plan and it has to be specific. It can't be I want to work out or I want to lose weight. It has to be I'm going to take 3 classes at the gym a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I want to lose 20 pounds. So it needs to be a very specific goal. I don't know if anybody else has ever broken down in their car and needed to put it in neutral and push it off the side of the road. Goal setting is very similar to this. It takes a lot of effort to get that car moving in the beginning. You want people to help you. Everybody jumps out of the car. Everyone's pushing. Someone's like leaning in and steering, right? And it's like that when you start goals. But then the car gains momentum, and that's what we want to do. We want to keep that kind of momentum going. But know that it is hard, and it's interesting, when you want all those people to help, because that's part of the steps.
Right.
The next thing to do, once you have a specific plan and you remember that momentum is hard to get going, is to break it down into small steps. You can't eat an elephant in one bite. It's one of my favorite quotes, and it's so true. So really small steps.
Right.
The next thing is that you need to remember that you have a purpose, a passion. There's a why to this. Why do you want to lose it? Right. Okay. So why do you want to lose 20 pounds? Why are you working out? What is the purpose? To get healthy so that you can be more active with your kids? That would be a really specific why. The next thing is revisit your goals. Often I think people make the assumption that they have, quote, failed or given up on their goals, when really all they needed to do is revisit and pivot the goal. So don't be too hard on yourself. Pivoting the goal and changing over time is normal when you're goal setting. It doesn't mean that you gave up or didn't accomplish it. It means that you had to make changes, right? And changes are not a bad thing.
Yeah.
The next thing is have a support system. This is so huge. You need to have accountability and you need to share it with your support system. Knowing that you have people to check in with. My daughter in Alaska, I'm part of her accountability to her goal setting. And when she wanted to set her goals, we broke them down into really, really small bite-sized pieces. Because in the beginning, it feels like, how am I ever going to get to the end? And part of the accountability and that support system is remembering you're acknowledging how far you've come. We tend to look at how far we need to go. Like, oh my gosh, I have so long to go. But we don't often look back over our shoulder at how far we've come. So that's really important, to share it, to have accountability. The next thing is you need to love what you do and do what you love. If exercise, I'm going to use some of the same examples. If exercise is it and you chose walking and you hate to walk, but you love Zumba, why are you not doing Zumba? Don't do things that you don't like. You're setting yourself up to not do well. So figure out the ways that you want to accomplish the goal that are things that you like.
Right.
If that makes sense. Even with losing 20 pounds, there are lots of different menu plans or diet options. And if you're doing something where you dread that protein shake in the morning, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So do what you love and love what you do. Goals are hard, but you can still make them fun.
Absolutely.
And the last thing is, there's no failure, only feedback. That's a huge NLP guideline. That's one of my favorites. we're really, really hard on ourselves. There's no failure,
Right.
only feedback. So when you miss something or take a couple days off or you're struggling, if you think about it
Mm,
as feedback, and I'm going to give you another example. When one of my girls was in elementary school, in her science class, they were dissecting frogs, and a lot of the
mm.
kids were really like, "Ew, gross!" Like,
Yeah.
that's so gross. And the teacher taught them a very good lesson. And my daughter said it the other day. She's almost 21, and she said it to me the other day. Wow, that's very scientific. So a lot of the time, you just need, in your failure or your feedback, you need a different way to say it. So instead of saying
Right.
that's gross, they learn to say that's very scientific. So instead of
Mm,
saying, wow, I messed up, I failed,
right.
it's a matter of stating in a way that's different. So I just love
Mm,
every time something rubs me where it's uncomfortable or I'm not really particularly happy about the way it feels, like being grossed out at
right.
dissecting a frog. We in our family, we just say, wow, that's very scientific.
I love that.
It's
I
just
love that.
feedback. So those are my tips on how to stay motivated with your goals.
Mm. I love that. Jenn Taylor, thank you so much. That was so helpful personally for me in making sure that I get momentum in all of my goals for this year so that we can make it to the end of the year and just be happy and proud
Mhm.
about what we accomplished in 2021. Jenn, thank you
Absolutely.
so much. Have a
Thank you.
fantastic Monday. All right, we'll be right back after a quick break.